Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, Senator Tester and the ranking member for having this hearing. And thank you, Ms. Murphy, and your colleagues for being here. I want to begin by asking a couple of questions about the bill that was the topic for Senator Blackburn, the Veterans Hearing Benefit Act, S3548. Let me be clear, what is the VA's position on this bill? Because I think it's so important to provide as much hearing benefits as possible, although often ignored. The ability to hear is critical to so many other physical and emotional aspects of life. The sense of physical balance that prevents falls, the sense of connection to the world that prevents depression and anxiety. And so, whatever the condition that prevents adequate hearing, I think the VA should address it and presume that it is service connected if there's any possibility that it results from combat injury, invisible wounds as well as visible ones. So perhaps, Ms. Murphy, you can tell me what the VA's position is on this bill.
Thank you, Senator Blumenthal. We do support this. It is much of it is in line with existing policies and procedures that we're already following. As I mentioned earlier, hearing loss and tinnitus are in the top three. They're number one and number three of the service-connecting conditions among all of our veterans. I think it's a demonstration that within the authorities that we have definitely leaned in to utilize that the presumption that is on part of 38 CFR 3.309A, right after, within that 1 year window after discharge from service, and also to recognize the acoustic trauma, even in combat with certain military occupations, and in particular with combat, even if we don't have that link to service in the service records, the lay statement or veteran statement is enough for us to be able to concede that acoustic trauma occurred in service. So it allows us to move the claim forward and evaluate the degree of disability.
And what can the VA do to expand access to hearing care among all veterans?
As far as VHA, they do have some authorities based on the priority groups and the level of service connection. I know a number of veterans do take advantage of getting hearing aids through VA when they have service-connected disabilities. So I think just continued discussion, more technical assistance if we can provide it. But I just want to reemphasize that we do embrace this and agree with you, sir, that hearing impairment is critical and does affect employability.
And I would like to suggest or request that perhaps if you or someone from VHA could report back to us about legislative steps, additional legislative steps that perhaps we can take, or administrative steps that the VA can take to expand access to care for hearing impairment. If you could give us a report on that issue, I would really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Senator.
Let me also touch on S4319, the Veterans Readiness and Employment Act. Actually, the VETS Act, which promotes information about the Veterans Readiness and Employment Act. The bill that I've co-sponsored with Senator Cassidy is known as the Veterans on Education for Transition Servicemen's Act. Its acronym is VETS Act, but promoting education about the provisions of that measure, because apparently so few veterans are aware of the programs that may be available. Do you agree that more education, more outreach are desirable?
Senator, I would ask my colleague, Ms. Moses, to speak to that. I think that we do agree that there's always more that can be done. We certainly embrace outreach and education in this space, but I'll ask Ms. Moses to elaborate.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy, and thank you, Senator. So VA does agree with the bill's intent to ensure, and as a matter of fact, the department has an objective to ensure that veterans are fully informed of their benefits. And so we're definitely on the same page in making sure that we're informing and educating our veterans. One of the reasons why we are not supportive of this bill in particular is because we feel that there's much redundancy here. So for example, when it comes specifically to Chapter 31 and Chapter 33 and the comparison and ensuring that our veterans and service members know the differences between the benefits that are available to them, we have notification within the disability compensation notice letter. Also, when veterans apply and are deemed eligible for VRE services, they have an initial evaluation with a counselor where they can receive one-on-one guidance. Additionally, we have an existing online presence, which does a side-by-side comparison tool. That website is also 508 compliant, and it provides those veterans and those service members who are potentially veterans with information of what kind of services they can get. For that transitioning service member who has not yet come out of the service, there's information that is provided within our Transition Assistance Program, or TAP. And they also have the opportunity to meet one-on-one with a benefits advisor. And the key here is making sure that veterans are getting the information that is particular or specific to them for their scenario. And then finally, for those individuals who are discharging through the medical separation process, through IDAs, they too have the opportunity to meet with a counselor to have one-on-one advice provided to them.
Thank you for your response, Ms. Moses. My time has expired, so I'm not in a position to go back with a response to you, but I'd like my staff to work with you. I think there may be less redundancy than perhaps is indicated, but one way or the other, if we can move forward without redundancy, so much the better. Mr. Chairman, I thank you and the staff for accommodating my absence through this WebEx connection. I really do appreciate it, both you and the staff. And if I'm not a co-sponsor of 3548, I ask to be added without objection.
Without objection, so ordered.